What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this, I'm going to be doing a top 10 list of my personal favorite builds that I have made. Now, this is singular builds, which would, I guess, really only entail the fact that, like, for example, Hello Neighbor and FNAF, because they're on their own maps, each individual one of them will count as their own. I do want to give honorable mentions before I start, though. It's nothing too big that would probably give away a top 10 spot in theory before we start, and the honorable mentions are Futuristic Temple and Grand Mansion. Those were two singular Let's Builds that were just really fun to make, and I would say they turned out pretty good as well. Along with Little Nightmares 1, I feel like I have to throw in there. That is such a new project that I haven't made much progress on, but you know at some point that would be on the list, assuming it would be far enough to actually be on the list. So yeah, let's start off with the actual top 10 itself. Kicking us off at number 10, we have the Hello Neighbor 2 Bakery. Now this build, it's nothing special necessarily, but I just think it looks really nice. I love the way it turned out, especially the, like, outdoor seating area. I think it looks really good. Not exactly the greatest Hello Neighbor, and I can't really put it high because it doesn't have a lot going for it as the, I guess, for the craziness factor, but either way, it's a really good build in my opinion. Next up, number 9 is the Hockey Stadium Let's Build, which was a part of Let's Build a City. I honestly forgot about this. I overlooked it when I was making this list originally, but it kind of clicked in my head and I was like, you know, it's a really good build. I can't put it higher because of the city texture pack and, you know, it's nothing crazy, but I do really like the way that it looks, and it's very modern and spacious, which is, I guess, good in the sense of, I mean, like, ceiling space, but yeah, I really like it. It turned out well. Definitely the best thing in City for sure. At number 8, we have the first kind of big map out of the bunch, and it is Finding Frankie. Now, the reason it is so low is because it's not one I enjoy building very much, point in case the rainbow balls, but it's turned out really good so far with what I've done. Definitely not the best map I've made, and I don't even think it's really close, but still, it's turned out good so far. Obviously, I can't really rank it higher either because of the fact that it's not even halfway done yet, but, you know, I still do have to put it on the list, for sure. This was a tough one to put this low, but at number 7 I have Hello Neighbor Act 3. This build is definitely probably the coolest Hello Neighbor to look at. Not the best in my opinion, but I definitely like it. It looks absurd to see, especially comparing it to the original. Oh my god. Yeah, I can't really put it much higher because of some of the stuff above it is just absurd, and it is kind of unfair with it being a singular build, but definitely one of the funnest to make overall, and I'm glad I did remake it. At number 6, we have Dirt City. I know this is high for a project that is not very far along, but there's enough in it for me to, I think, justify putting it this high. Look at the back room, Slender's Forest, a couple other things that I've done for tutorials. I would have put it higher if everything was original and if it was, again, a little bit further along, but a lot of it are just builds I've already made that I've put in there. Although I'd say Backrooms alone probably puts it in the top 10. It's been really fun to make, and definitely one of my coolest concepts for a build, and I can't wait to see how it ends up turning out in the future. Maybe if I end up redoing this, it'll be top 3, you never know. Kicking off the top 5, we have the Hello Neighbor 2 Museum. I did mention Act 3 wasn't my favorite Hello Neighbor building. This one is. The outside isn't anything special necessarily, but the detailing on the inside is, I think, probably the best out of any singular build I've made. It looks phenomenal. Definitely, I'd say one of the most accurate as well that I've made. I don't really, I think, value it as much from a sentimental standpoint as I do Act 3. Although I can't really put it below Act 3 just because it makes Act 3's interior look bad. I am very happy with how this one turned out, even though it took me, you know, a year to finish that attic after doing the rest. Number 4 is another big map, and this one is Indigo Park. Now, at the time of recording this, I am kind of redoing it to fit the new update, but I like this map. I cut a lot of corners that I arguably shouldn't have. I mean, they don't make a huge difference, but there are points that I look at it and I'm like, eh. Although overall it is definitely one of the best maps I've made, and it was fun to make. I definitely enjoyed it more than some of the other stuff on this list. And so far the remake is going very well. You will probably see an image of that on the screen. It's just updating it a couple of rooms. Yeah, but definitely a good map, for sure. Kicking off the top 3, I'm sure you guys expected this one. Eventually, it's Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. I would have put this in the 2 slot, except it's another one that I'm not a huge fan of building at times. I'll go through stretches where I'm like, I must work on it, but then I have times where I'm like, eh. I can't put it lower than this, though, because, again, it looks great. Scaling's a little off in certain areas, but other than that, I mean, the detailing has been good, and overall, it's definitely one of my best looking maps, and one of the most impressive as well. At number 2, we have Poppy Playtime. Now, this does include Chapter 2, which hasn't been released publicly yet, and this mainly, I think, thrives off of Chapter 2. Chapter 1 was good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't that good. Chapter 2 is, I don't want to say perfect, because it's not perfect, but it looks so good, in my opinion. The detailing is amazing. The just overall look of everything has been great. It's been fun to make, which is something that I kind of have problems with on certain builds, but I've been chugging along. All the areas are cool. It's unique room-wise, and just, I really have a number of good things to say about it. Obviously, I don't want to just keep rambling, because I'll end up backtracking and saying the same thing 3 times. But, yeah, I definitely could not put this any lower. It's been one of the best things I've made. At number 1, I think anybody who's been around for a little while will know exactly where this is going. It is Little Nightmares 2. This map I spent way too long on, but I enjoyed making it more than any other map, with the exception of chapters 1 and 2, those sucked. But 3, 4, and 5 were fun. I mean, some of 1 and 2 were, but for the most part, they were kind of tedious. Every room looks great. I have obviously do have some areas that aren't quite accurate size-wise, like a couple areas you will end up seeing a change. But, I mean, the scaling is fun, the detail's fun to make. It looks awesome. And you can see also between, like, chapters 1 and really 4, I guess 3 to 5, how much I improved build-wise, and that's always a cool thing to see in a project like that. Definitely, I hold way too much sentimental value for this project, and I hope LN1 turns out even slightly as good, because this is definitely the thing I've spent most of my devotion to, and also, rightfully so, it came out as my favorite. So yeah, that is really all for the top 10 list. Let me know what you guys think, if you have any builds that or what your favorite build is, or if there's any I left out that you think deserved a spot. I did end up going through all of the, like, FNAF and Hello Neighbor when I did this, and also, obviously, the other maps that I've done. I kind of just listed them all and was like, which is better than which? So yeah, Sister Location almost made it. That was definitely one that was right there. But it would have been, like, 12th, I think. Even though I didn't give it an honorable mention, it wasn't particularly on there because I wanted to mention more of the city builds that didn't get as much love. Probably because, I don't know, my city creativity isn't quite as good as some of the creativity in the game maps. Anyway, thank you guys so much if you guys did enjoy this video. I know that was a little bit of a shorter one, I apologize. But yeah, with that being said, have a fantastic rest of your day or night, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.